In a Dungeons & Dragons game, the wizard may very well forget that they even have a sword in inventory, but for a lot of classes, it's going to be all about the weapons. There are plenty of cool magical weapons out there with all sorts of capabilities, but when your character first starts out, they're going to be limited to more mundane options. So that's what we're going to focus in on in this D&D 101 video. The weapons that are going to be available to new characters, and in certain low magic settings, the only ones that are going to be available ever, period, are going to be located on page 149 of the Player's Handbook. I'm going to put my affiliate link down below to the PHB, but if you're just starting out, you don't need to spend any money on anything. I'm going to put a link down below also for the free rules, and you're going to find this chart on 48 and on the screen. A character is going to be proficient in certain weapons, and they basically break down to two categories, simple and martial types. If you are not proficient in martial weapons and you try to pick up and swing a Morningstar, for instance, you won't be adding your proficiency bonus to your attack rolls. And that makes sense. You're more likely to get a good hit with a weapon you've practiced with, that you've trained on before. The other main categories for weapons are melee and ranged. You need to be standing next to your target to try to hit them with a melee weapon, and usually that means within 5 feet of them. But ranged weapons can be used at distance. We talked about this in the combat video, but every ranged weapon will have a set of numbers beside it. Like the sling, for example, here has a 30/120. That first number is the normal range, the sweet spot, while that second number is the long range, the absolute furthest it can go. So attacking a target that is more than 30 feet, that is 35 to 120 feet away with a sling, will be done at disadvantage. And then anything past that 120-foot mark is going to be unreachable, at least with this weapon. And you're going to see next to the range there on the sling example, it says ammunition. Most all ranged weapons are shooting something, and rules is written. If you are out of arrows in your quiver, you can't shoot your bow anymore. It makes sense, right? You can recover half of your expended ammunition after a fight is over, but eventually you're going to run out and you'll have to replenish your supplies back in town. Honestly, in my own experience, most 5th edition games are not tracking ammunition. Your mileage may vary, of course, and I do sometimes daydream about running a game where we track ammunition and rations and torches and using cumbrance and gritty realism, all that good stuff. But generally, I think you're going to find there's already plenty to keep track of in your average D&D game without counting the arrows that cost 5 copper pieces. While I will skip over ammunition tracking, I do pay attention to weapons that have the loading property like crossbows, which means they can only fire once per action. We are not counting bolts at my table, but to make multiple attacks with your attack action using a crossbow, you're going to need a feat or some other special consideration. When using any ranged weapon, you add your dexterity modifier to the attack and the damage rolls, while melee weapons are going to use your strength modifier. But there are exceptions to this, like short swords and the ever-popular scimitar, which have the finesse property. Finesse weapons allow you to use your strength or your dexterity to hit and do damage with a melee weapon, and therefore they are a very popular choice for more dexterity-based classes. You will see that both of these also have the light property, which means that they are easy enough to handle that you can use them for 2-weapon fighting, which again we cover in the combat videos. So if you can't decide between a short sword and a scimitar, congratulations, you get to have both. Now, light weapons imply the existence of heavy ones, like perhaps my favorite, the greatsword. A small creature is going to be at disadvantage while using heavy weapons, so I am sorry to you hopeful gnome barbarians out there. A lot of heavy weapons, like this greatsword here, are also going to be two-handed, meaning, yeah, you need 2 hands in order to wield it. That makes sense, right? That mostly means you can't use a greatsword while you're using a shield. Now, there are weapons like the warhammer that have the versatile property, and this means you can use them with 1 hand or 2. That 1d10 there is telling us we will roll a d10 for the damage die while using it with 2 hands, and go back to that usual d8 when we're only swinging it with 1 hand, perhaps because we want that +2 AC from the shield. Now, I didn't mention the damage die until now, but I bet you've been paying close attention to that line. Each weapon lists the die we'll be rolling and adding our modifiers to when we do damage, when a hit goes through. And beside that, it also lists what type of damage it's doing. Is it bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing? Now, for good or ill, the physical damage types are mostly for flavor and don't come up very often mechanically in play. There's exceptions to this, but for the most part, they don't come up all that much. Now, remember when I said melee is usually 5 feet? I bet you noticed I didn't say always, because some melee weapons have reach. Pole arms like the glaive are going to give you an extra 5 feet on your melee attacks, covering every square within 10 feet of you. This can be very powerful for some builds. The only other way to get a melee weapon to hit something more than 5 feet away from you is to throw it, but that's only going to work out for weapons that actually have the thrown property, which means they can be melee or ranged, like daggers. There are a couple weapons on page 149 that have the special property, and that just means that there are specific considerations for those particular ones. So if you want to use a lance or a net, read up on them. Spoiler, they're not quite as cool as at least I want them to be, but you do you. That about covers the basics for weapons. In the next installment of this D&D 101 series, we're going to be doing a nice quick little talk about the rest mechanics in D&D. Until then, get out there, have fun, be kind to yourself, be kind to each other, and I will see you next time. Thanks.